Well, welcome everybody. Episode 15 of Soul Searching, the Soul Recruitment Podcast. Hope everybody's doing well in these times and on a Friday. I have an amazing guest. Back by popular demand, we have Mark Pearce here in the Soul Recruitment Studios. Now, Mark was on the show last year and everybody absolutely loved what he had to say. He's an extremely entertaining and insightful guy. He's got loads of value and experience in the recruitment industry, and hopefully will give us loads of questions and insights that'll be relevant for job seekers, managers, and recruiters. So the topic of today is asking hiring managers the tough questions to be able to sell their jobs. And I'm really excited and looking forward to diving into that content with you, Mark. But before we get into that, I thought I'd just give everybody a little intro into Mark. If you don't know who he is, Mark Pearce is a very experienced and highly innovative recruiter with over 20 years in the business. He has run his own recruitment business for many years, as well as managing internal recruitment teams, and has had an incredible wealth of knowledge and experience in the industry. Mark is also an extremely talented and creative producer of content for job seekers, hiring managers, and recruiters. So this is going to be a very, very insightful and engaging show. So Mark, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm almost blushing here. Thank you very much indeed for the introduction. It's very, very kind of you.
My pleasure.
I'm looking forward to today to discuss some topics with you. Thank you for having me back on.
Mate, absolute pleasure. I mean, I really enjoyed our chat last year, and we've had incredible feedback. And only fitting that we bring you back to challenge things again and give us more insight and see how that actually relates to where we are now in this particular time as well. So very interesting stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
So Mark, obviously you've been in the industry a long time. I know that you put out a lot of content and you are very big on challenging recruiters and managers that work in the recruitment sector and in the recruitment function to do things properly and market and sell properly to actually get results. Because a lot of us fall into the trap of just doing things we've always done, not thinking about exactly the process. And you're very, very good at challenging us and really trying to step outside the box and help us understand what we might be doing wrong, especially as times progress. So I might want to take one step back and just maybe give us a little recap on what we discussed last time, and then we'll jump into the topic of today. But in terms of the past, what is the problem of job ads today? And, do they even work?
Yeah, well, look, I think firstly, to answer the latter part of that question, job ads do work. Absolutely. I mean, good ads will always have a place, whether that's a job ad or whether you're actually selling or promoting a product or a service. So ads definitely do work. And I wouldn't say the problem is with the ads. I'd say it's a recruitment industry problem, whole scale, in that not many ads are actually posted. What we repeatedly see on job boards are job descriptions or JD, as they're known. And this happens for a number of reasons. And I think two of the main reasons are it's easy to copy and paste a JD when you're under the pump, right? So who has time for writing meaningful copy and creative ads when you can churn out JDs, or you can do it straight from your ATS onto job boards? And the second thing is job boards as well. They don't really do anything to prevent this. In fact, they're consistently chasing companies who have a load of jobs to advertise. That's how they make their money. That's how they pay their bills, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So why would they target companies who take the time to write proper ads when there's more money chasing bulk jobs?
Yeah.
So what you've got, technically, you've got recruiters who think people will read JDs and leave a job. They've no real intention of leaving.
Yeah.
You've got job boards who are chasing volume. So, and that's the big agencies and employers around town as well. Then no one really seems to want to break that cycle. Recruiters either don't have time, or they don't know how to write ads, or they've not been shown how to write a proper ad. And job boards are more interested in the profit and the SEO of their websites as well. And that's why they prefer your ads or you to post JDs. And as we know, JDs don't sell the opportunity. I've seen ads work. I've seen plenty of ads work. And there's one way of measuring whether an ad has worked or not, and that's understanding who's applied for a job who didn't actually need to, or who hadn't actually thought about applying to a role until they actually read your ad.
That's a very
And
good
for
point.
people to actually do that, they've got to have a compelling reason to. And it's not about how big your company is, what your turnover is, how many awards you've won, or what it demands from, say, 20 plus bullet points. It's what is in it for the reader, and it always will be. And that's something that is going to have to improve their current situation. Now, to get to that point, we've got to ask ourselves a really simple but fairly challenging question before we start writing ads. And it's along the lines of, why would someone leave a job they've no real intention of doing, or they don't need to come and work for my company?
Yeah.
And the question itself does frighten a lot of people, and it shouldn't. It's an opportunity to get creative and to persuade people that another job might be worth exploring.
Absolutely. So really it's about taking a lot of time to craft an ad and an advertising or marketing campaign that is going to attract people and incite people to find out more, rather than just a quick transactional copy paste exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that time, when you look at that time span to begin with, when you start working with a new company, you're going to have to invest a fair amount of time to understand them, their culture, their EVP, those sort of things, so you can actually market their brand properly. But then when you get to know hiring managers and you get to know the jobs inside out, you don't really need to invest that much time, because you know what you're going to be going back out to market with.
Yep.
But certainly at the beginning, yeah, it's well worth investing the time. Absolutely.
Very true. And it's interesting, because I always, like to say that a lot of the time, recruiters, we tend to take on more than we can chew. And if we take on too much, we have less time to do things properly. And the advertising and marketing is a very important part of what we do. So we should make sure we have time to do them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Someone actually posed this question the other day on LinkedIn: what percentage of your time should you spend on marketing?
Yeah.
And there were some really good answers on that. I think they average around about 40% in the end.
Wow. Yep. I wouldn't, that'd be very, very, that would ring true to me. I spend a hell of a lot of time on marketing and on social media and podcasting and whatnot. And I think a recruiter's job moving forward, and it is already, is really, you are a marketer. You're a marketer of yourself, your brand, your clients, and you have to attract quality talent to you. And if you take on too much, you don't have time to do this. And the advertising process falls into that. That's part of it.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And it's down to that, but it's also about asking the tougher questions as well. You've got to be prepared to sit there and be confident and ask some of the difficult questions to hiring managers and employees.
Perfect. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's exactly what I want to talk about today. So, topic of today is asking hiring managers the tough questions so we can sell their jobs. So why is it that we don't do it? You've touched on, is it time? We don't have enough time. We haven't prepared, or are there other reasons you think we don't do it?
Yeah, there's a number of reasons for that, Darren. Now, I think it's easy to think that you're going to waste someone's time. So 20 to 30 minutes of someone's time asking them difficult questions to take a job brief, for example, but it has to be done.
Yeah.
It's easy to think you're going to look stupid asking hiring managers and employees questions when they believe that you're supposed to know the answers to those questions anyway, because you're right. And I've had employers in the past say to me, Mark, you're a recruiter, you should know this. It's absolute BS. You can't know everything about every job unless you really take the time to find out. And the thing is, as recruiters, we are a proud bunch. We'd rather avoid the hassle or get drawn into what we think is going to be a challenging or a confronting conversation, but we do have to ask the difficult questions. That's what consultants do. We consult, we dig, we pick away at things until we fully understand them. And then we take those things, polish them, and then we make them shine. So, we're not dunces, and we're not know-it-alls either, but it is our job to understand and help employers find the right people. If we don't understand a job fully, how on earth are they going to be able to sell the challenges, the work, company, EVP, culture, people, everything, while promoting that company's brand? Because that's the important thing. You just can't do it unless you've got that information. And I wish a lot more recruiters and employers would understand that if we go to market half-cocked, we're going to do a lot of damage to an employee's brand. And you can see that. You see that right across. I think I referred to this in the last podcast we did, whereby you've got one company with a JD posted online, and then you've got 3 or 4 agencies copied and pasted it word for word.
Yeah, just like everybody's doing exactly the same thing.
It is. It's ridiculous. And, that's what recruitment used to be about. It used to be about speed, going to market, copying and pasting your job ads on job boards, CV flicking, first in, best dressed. But those days have gone. They've died, and rightly so. It's now about gathering a deeper understanding of what a business does and giving people a meaningful reason to move jobs. Otherwise, they're not going to move. They're not going to move reading a JD.
Definitely. And it also boils down to trust in a way. If you start to build a brand that is trustworthy and credible in the industry, people will come to you. And part of building that trust and that credibility is by taking the time to do all these things we're talking about properly. If you're just copying and pasting like 6 other agencies, how are you differentiating yourself from anybody else?
No, you're not. And I think you're right. Absolutely spot on with trust. But the other thing is as well, the flip side of that is, I don't like to use the word candidates, but people are more savvy these days. They look at that online and think, how much work has gone into that? Yeah. And does that recruiter actually know that company inside out? I know, look, there's exactly the same job ad from that company. I'll go and apply to that company directly. There's a lack of thought that goes into it. And I think that's the other thing as well, is this thinking. We're going to have to start thinking a lot more critically, analytically, to become better recruiters.
Yeah. And I love when you mentioned before, you mentioned the word consultants. That's what we are. We're recruitment consultants. And personally, I don't mind asking what might seem as a silly question to make sure that I understand the brief fully, than not ask, because then I'll go ahead and waste 2 months of time and everybody will be frustrated because we won't have a result. I don't mind having egg on my face if I get the job done.
Absolutely.
So
you've got to ask the tough questions. You've got to ask the simple questions and not be afraid to look daft. Be the dunce in the room, as someone used to say to me.
Yeah, too true. I mean, because only then will you really know what you're doing, and you'll save time for everybody, and the result will be much more efficient and much stronger, and everybody's happy.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, so what are the tough questions?
That's a great question. A number of them, actually, and I think we could spend all day discussing them. But I'd actually wrote an article and a guide on this a couple of years back. I'm not here today to plug that whatsoever, but if any listeners that would like a copy, it's on my LinkedIn profile. The document is called 10 Questions to Ask Hiring Managers that will help you sell your jobs more effectively.
Great. So I'm looking forward to it.
But I think today, just in the interest of time, we'll focus on probably 3 of those questions.
Okay.
So picking 3 at random. I've got the document here actually open now in front of me. So I think the first question I'd always ask is the one that I mentioned earlier. Is why is someone going to leave a job that they don't really need to come and work for our company? It's a why question.
Yeah.
It can feel confrontational if you're not used to asking why questions. And a tip on that, on how you can and how you can actually soften it. But the value of this question is this: it gets people thinking. Okay, so it gets them to think past a job description. With a why question, you can't really say, well, because we're XYZ company, because that's bordering on arrogance, really.
Yes.
So you've got to think deeper than that. It's a question that's going to put someone on the spot, and it will put hiring managers on the spot, and they'll tell you that.
Yep.
But it's designed to draw out some benefits, and it could be benefits about working in someone's team. It could be the 9-day fortnights, flexible working schemes, whatever the company has, and whatever benefits the hiring manager can offer to people reading a job ad. So this question should uncover those.
Perfect.
Now, I know a lot of recruiters have said this in the past, that it's uncomfortable asking this question straight off the bat, but you can soften it by saying something like, look, I'm genuinely curious here, or could you help me understand something first off? Yeah. So it can be quite an abrupt question to throw on the table, but it's a smart question. And it's one that we've got to ask to uncover so much hidden information, because it just constantly, and what else, you just get so much out of that.
That's fantastic. And I love that. And as you say, you can soften it by even saying, now, when I talk to candidates and when I sell the role in the company, what can I tell them? Why are you different to everybody else? You can make it very, very indirect.
Yeah, you can do. Absolutely. But again, it's one of those, it kind of puts them on the spot, but you've got to set the scene. And I think those softening questions do set the scene. It sort of gets them a little bit more comfortable to ask the question as well. And if they can't ask the question, another tip I'd throw in here is maybe just offer say, well, look, maybe XYZ company do this, or have you thought maybe this might be a benefit? And then it gets them to open up, because that's the whole objective of that question.
Beautiful. I love it. So question 1, why? Very important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I get the second question I would probably ask, what challenges are you trying to overcome, or what problems are you trying to fix? So if you think about a lot of people in their work, majority of their time spent maintaining things or improving stuff or fixing things. And 99% likely the reason a company's hiring is because they need someone to do one or all of those things, right? So we'll ask the question, we need to draw out what needs doing and keep digging until we find out exactly what's required. And then from there is sort of throwing that information into an ad, but making it authentic. So if the work is going to be boring to begin with, or it's going to be incredibly difficult and a challenge, don't hide from that.
Yeah.
Be genuine in your ad, because what that will do then is it will dissuade people who think that's not for me, and it will persuade people who think that's exactly what I want to do. And they can picture themselves.
Absolutely. And you'd rather have, 10 or 15 quality applicants than 200 that are just going to be wasting your time because they're not suitable.
Absolutely.
And not interested. Yeah.
Yeah. I did see a post actually a couple of days ago on LinkedIn, someone saying they couldn't get back to every person who'd applied because they had 200 people on average applying to their job ads. And you think, no, 200 people, there's something missing in that ad, or it's not an ad. You just don't get that.
I like that. That's fascinating. Absolutely.
It is, yeah. And question number 3, I would probably go for, and this is critical, I think, in any job. You've got to be able to display this. So what could someone learn in this role? So I think it stands to reason. People want to work with people that are learning from. They want to know, or they want to work with companies who will invest in developing them. So the more someone learns, the better they get at their job and the more promotions they're going to get, right? So the more likely as well they're going to stick around within that organization. And if you consider the 2 main reasons why people leave employers and their jobs, it's either because their boss is poor or they've hit a glass ceiling.
Right.
So again, I'd say give your readers a reason to picture what they could learn in a job that you're going to be advertising, and you'll hook people with that sort of information. People want to grow, they want to develop, they want to get promoted, they don't want to hit glass ceilings. So that question alone, you're going to be able to draw a hell of a lot of information.
Definitely. And I must say, in my work every day, I hear that question probably 99% of the time within the first 5 minutes of talking to a candidate about a particular job. Basically, what's in it for me? How's it going to help me? I'm leaving a job that I'm happy in. My boss is good. The culture's great. I'm learning, but I'm just tempted to look elsewhere. But why? Why should I? So I think that's a very, very interesting question. And again, that's what we need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no draw card there at all.
True. And
I think I'm losing here.
I lost you there for a second, but I think you're back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, I think we're back.
Yes.
Modern technology.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I mean, when I take JDs or briefs, a lot of the time you're right. You tend to get those standard criteria, whether it's technical, salary based, time frame based, but we don't challenge enough to really draw out some of that information that is really going to make all the difference to that person that's going to be suitable for the job.
Absolutely.
Yep. And so then once we've got all this information, and that was only 3 out of your top 10, so I would urge the listeners and the viewers to have a look at Mark's LinkedIn page and really study, his top 10 because they're fantastic. But once we've got all that information, we've touched on it slightly. What do we do with it?
Great question. Well, this is where I guess when we mentioned the word consultant before, but we're a little bit more than that. So this is where I guess the marketing, the sales skills, but also the copywriting skills have to come in to action. So and this is what separates, I guess, recruiters these days. Those that are multi-talented that can actually do that. Now, if you've asked enough of the right questions and you've dug deep enough, you're going to be able to sell, able to draft a half decent job ad. Okay, so you've got the stuff that'll sell your jobs. It's just a case of putting it in the right order, editing it, and then making it shine. So I guess I can give sort of 3 tips off the top of my head because we've been here a while. And then, sorry with you, I can recommend some books as well, and I can also recommend, I guess, a course for recruiters and TA professionals as well to join.
Fantastic, that'd be sensational.
First of three tips I would say is write ads in a friendly conversational tone. That's the first thing I would say. Move away from this robotic speech like 99% of ads are doing. Okay, so that's what JDs do. Okay, skip the bullet points, keep it human. Job boards won't like it, but you know what? It'll look different. And if it looks different, it's going to get the eyeballs.
That's true. Very true.
Use plenty of words as well, like you, your, you are, those sort of things, and skip the self-promotional babble. I think that there's nothing worse than reading an ad that starts with something like, we're proud to be hiring, or we have an excellent job opportunity. So what?
So true. I love that.
About that, you know, that's about the company, not about what's in it for me. So it's not about explaining why that company's proud, and they don't explain why the role's exciting as well. You know, we have an exciting job opportunity, and then there's a job description. So move away from that sort of behaviour. I would say at the end of the day, we're all programmed to look at what's in it for us.
Yeah.
And then the third tip I would give is, this is where where you use a hook. So we are all fighting for eyeballs. And what I mean by that is work hard to cut through every ad on a job board by using a powerful and compelling opening line. So promise something in that opening line, maybe arouse curiosity, but offer something of value or highlight a benefit. And you'll be surprised at how well that works. You've already got someone's attention, and then it's about keeping them reading the rest of that and not switching off. So those would be the three tips. Now, I mentioned a book or two as well, and a course. So the two excellent books that I've read in the last 12 months, and one of them I keep reading actually, is Tom Albrighton's Copywriting Made Simple.
Oh, nice.
It's for beginners, intermediates, advanced copywriters. There's loads to learn and take away from it. But what I like about it is it's beautifully written in that it's so simple to understand the way it's broken down, and it will improve your writing skills. There's no question about that. The second book that I've read, and I want to keep returning to, is one called Hey Whipple Squeeze This. Interesting title. But it's by an author and an ad man called Luke Sullivan. Amazing read. It's cheeky, it's bold, it's in your face, and it's an account of an ad man cutting through the noise to get his ads noticed. It's an absolutely brilliant read. So again, Hey Whipple Squeeze This by Luke Sullivan. And then there's a course as well, actually. I've just done this in the last 2 weeks, but Jackie Barry and Mitch Sullivan have got an online copywriting for recruiters course.
Oh, fantastic.
It is. It's absolutely rammed with amazingly helpful advice that is going to make you a highly successful. And I highly recommend recruiters just go and check it out. Have a look at some of it's copywritingforrecruiters.com. Or if you go on LinkedIn, hit up Mitch Sullivan and Jackie Barry.
Fantastic.
To learn more from it. So
I'll certainly that. Mitch Sullivan has got a huge name and a huge.
Yeah, I recommend that.
Sorry, Mike, you broke up there. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think we're back in the room again, Darren. It seems to be a bit hit and miss today for you.
Oh, that's okay. All part of the fun. You okay now? Can you hear me?
All good.
Oh, good. Fantastic. Absolutely. I mean, Mitch Sullivan has got a huge following in the UK, and he's a very, very strong force in the recruitment industry.
Absolutely he is, and he's a great writer. Jackie Barry's a award-winning copywriter as well, so it would make sense for any recruiter to at least go and check it out, and definitely those two books as well.
Fantastic. And now a couple of other little things on that. I mean, you mentioned obviously the copy is important, and at the beginning of the ad, you want to have a hook or a question or something that relates to them. Are you talking about doing that because when you have an ad, you have the body of the ad, but a lot of the time on a job board, you only see one or two lines, or you see that little first 2 or 3 liner. You put it in there. Is that where you mean, or you mean in the body of the ad?
Horses for courses with that, Darren. I mean, I would personally, okay? So you've got your area where you're going to put the job title, the location, all that is really important. But where you've got the 2 liners, that's where you're going to have your hook.
Yep.
Because in those 2 lines, and you read it, probably 95% of the time, we are a FTSE 250 company. It's like, so what?
Yeah. That's
not going to attract me. But, if you had a really interesting headline there, like been promoted recently, ? Just something, that's just a throwaway comment, but it's I said, well, no, I haven't. So that's going to keep me reading. So that's where you would put your hook in there. And I know it kind of goes against, I guess, job board etiquette. I think it does, but I'm sure there's one or two job boards out there that would allow that. But that's where I would put it. And then the rest of the ad is going to be written to, like I say, using words like you and your. I'm actually writing to you. I'm not writing about myself and what I want. I'm writing to put you in that picture, and I want you to imagine the work that you could be doing with my company. And that's the way you've got to write to the person.
Perfect. I mean, the copy is so important these days. You really, as Mark said, you really have to take the time to strengthen your copywriting skills when you're writing ads and when you're writing documentation and marketing material, because the copy is important. That's what sits with us. And we have a very short attention span. It has to be, it has to seem like it's written for us, and it has to be engaging.
Absolutely. 8.25 seconds, I believe, is the new attention span now.
8.25 seconds, my word. And now the other thing that I wanted to mention is video. I mean, video is becoming another huge force in ads. What's your take on video?
Love it.
Yep.
I totally agree with that as well. Yeah, because we're talking about attention spans. People are more likely to watch a video than they are to read copy these days. I mean, you still read it if it's good and it's entertaining and it gets their interest. But the same with videos. I would use the same formula, the same technique. So if you're going to be doing a job ad by video, talk to the person that you want to apply. Make it about them. Again, use the same words, make it human, add that personal human touch. And as with every ad or with any ad, give them a compelling call to action, why they should even pick up the phone to you, or even send a CV, or if you haven't got a CV, just to get in contact with you by LinkedIn or something.
Yeah, beautiful.
I think that's the future video job ads and video marketing. It's very, very powerful.
Definitely. And as you say, make those videos as if they were written, as if they were built and designed for the person, not as a sales pitch or as a promotional video for the company. There's so many companies just putting out promotional videos. Why work for us? Why work for us? It's more like what can we do for you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well with video, it's a great way. I mean, I know companies do a lot of promo, a lot of the self promo. I think from time to time that's not too bad. I think, but you've got to mix it up. But I think I use one example here, and I'm sure they won't mind me using it. There's an ad that I've seen, or a video that Rio Tinto have put out, where, I don't know if you've seen it, it's where the lady turns on a hearing aid and she can hear for the first time.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, but the whole story that is, it's their copper that's allowed for that to happen, but they don't promote their copper. Yeah. So it's a brilliant advert, really well written, and that's a strong story that you can get across, and that resonates with people.
Definitely, I love it. And storytelling is so important these days. I mean, it's almost, we've become marketers and branders more than anything else. And as you say before, 40% of your job, questionably can be marketing and selling in recruitment, and it makes sense.
It does, absolutely. Because the end of that is you've got your, what we call them, clients or employers, but for them, it's free branding. Yeah. If you do it right, it's very powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what they're paying you for. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, fantastic, Mark. That was absolutely brilliant. I mean, I'm going to re-listen and re-watch this video many times and incorporate all this great advice. And Mark's also given us some great tips for different books and courses. So I might grab those from you later on, Mark, and I'll put them in the show notes for everybody.
Absolutely.
And at the end, I always like to challenge the guest to just kind of give us 1 or 2 points that you want to leave us with today. I mean, what comes to the top of your head, just without thinking?
I would say, and this is something that I do regularly put on LinkedIn, but I'll say it, and I'll ask the audience this: can we please get away from copying and pasting job descriptions? It doesn't work anymore. Yep. Those days have gone. We're not going to move someone who's busy at work, probably having a really bad day, and will be open to look at a new job with a job description. We're not going to tease them. They're not going to move away, and we're not going to win many clients or new business from just copying and pasting job descriptions rather, because companies see that happening, and candidates see that happening. And again, it does show that there's a lack of creative thought happening there, and it's lazy. And I'd say probably the second thing as well is, those courses and the books as well. But I think, there's this common thought about job ads don't work anymore. And I think what I would challenge respectfully challenge listeners to do today is to actually look into those resources, but to write an ad and see what sort of different results you get from that. Because you will notice two things. A, you won't get as many people applying to your roles, and that's not a bad thing. Some recruiters might be slightly off-put or maybe frightened by that, but the quality of the applicants that you get applying for your role, you'll notice a significantly improved difference in the quality. And I can assure you that. Give it a try and let me know your thoughts.
Fantastic. Well, I mean, that's absolutely golden advice. And, I've been following you for ages, and I know that, that's how you approach things. And if you say that works, then we should all try it, because, that's what the recruitment industry needs to do. We need to evolve, and we need to do things properly. And particularly in a time where there's a candidate shortage, in general, we have to be able to do our job of marketing and selling to the candidates and to quality talent to the best of our ability. So I think that's been an insightful episode. And Mark, thank you once again for joining us. I'm going to put all the show notes, all the notes to all these, all the links to all this in the show notes for us. So thank you very much again.
Thanks very much indeed, Darren. An absolute pleasure. Look after yourself. Keep safe.
You too, mate. And everybody out there, hope that gave you lots of value. And we'll be back shortly for another episode. Bye for now.